Tonight on The Ronnie Show.
Chick-fil-A, not a sponsor. In fact, there's no sort of
I woke up this morning, fresh out of bed. Don't have to sleep. Might be a bitch, might make a friend. Ain't that so amazing? Love me or hate, whatever you say. Don't give a Let's say they all in. Let's say they all in.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Ronnie Show. Boy, oh boy, I am so hyped up tonight because, of course, tonight is the Musketeers home opener. So, yes, that'll be coming on right after this. So, yeah, that'll be quite exciting, for sure. However, I forgot to mention something last week. On last week's episode of the Ronnie Show, you know, we got so excited about me getting season tickets for life. I forgot to talk about probably something that was way more important than that. And it kind of pissed me off, this thing that I forgot to talk about. So yeah, we're going to go on a bit of a rant time here because we love to do that. Whoop whoop. Of course, you know me. So yeah, let's go talk. Okay, thank you very much, Chick-fil-A. Not a sponsor. In fact, there's no sort of drink from Chick-fil-A in here. It's just water I got from my grandma's fridge. So, anyway, so yeah, we got so wound up and excited. I mean, we talked for 46 minutes about me getting season tickets for life that I completely forgot to mention the other topic I was going to mention in last week's show. And it was probably, like I said, probably more important than that because it's kind of going to affect the scheduling, at least one day on the schedule. So I also do want to address something too first before we get too far into this. As you know, in the community tab, I had been kind of previewing this thing saying that we're going to do a schedule of the month instead of schedule of the week. However, in all the different formats that I could have done for that, none of them worked. And then when I finally found a format that I thought would work and, you know, it was good enough for me, one that I actually liked, I tried, you know, I took a screenshot of the schedule and I tried uploading it onto the community tab. However, YouTube, they are just so silly with how you post pictures and things like that, that it was only showing about half the week. So, yeah, granted, you know, the only time we really ever, at least during this period, during the television season, from September to basically May, the only programs, are the only times we either go live or release new videos of some sort is on, you know, like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So half the week, basically, right there, even though it is the weekend. So I just thought this was a little strange, but I wasn't too worried about it at first, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I tried all I could to potentially fit in, and I just thought that it wasn't worth the time and effort to keep trying at this anymore. So I just basically put it aside, and I don't know if I'm going to try it again, but maybe I will. We'll see. I don't know. So that's the first thing. Now, the main talking point of this show. So a required class you have to take up my freshman year, in your freshman year at the college I go to, Augustana, is first year seminar, which basically it's on like a random topic, basically. Like it could be anything you could think of. There's like a class on it. But mainly it's just, you know, get settled into college and, you know, kind of learn the ins and outs and things like that, which, you know, is fine. It's perfect, quite honest with you. However, I got an email the other night, it wasn't the other night. It was something that the university had already sent an email on probably almost 2 months ago at this point, because this is October 1st when we were filming it, and I think the email was sent, on either like the 3rd or the 4th of August, sometime during that week. And I guess I didn't pay too much attention to it. To be quite honest with you, I didn't really look or pay attention to any of my emails from my college email up until like school started. Like that kind of the couple of days leading up to me actually moving in. Just because, you know, I was just trying to have a good summer, you know. Summertime and breaks and vacations and things like that. School is probably the number one thing that I do not think about. Like, it's way down on the totem pole of things I think about. Just because, you know, those breaks and vacations, you know, those are times to, you know, spend time with family. And obviously, as you know, the content goes up a little bit too. You see more of it just because I have more time, obviously. Which, we might, I don't know if we'll talk about it here. Well, we'll see how much time we have after I go on this rant, and then I'll talk about the breaks and things like that. But they scheduled this speaker that's going to come and talk, and I don't remember exactly what the speaker was going to talk about, but it was some kind of, I don't know, it was a topic kind of on, I don't remember what it was now, and I really wish I had it written down, but I don't know, it was something, it wasn't like racism or, here, we're going to stop the tape, and I'm going to go find that email, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I indeed looked it up, and I did write it down. Now, I was going to write it down before I got here to film this, but it just escaped my mind, basically. So, here's basically what it is. So, we're having this lady come, and I'm sure she's a nice lady, you know, I'm sure she's a great person, you know, whatever, but you'll see why I'm really pissed off about this here in a second. But, so she is the founder of the Algorithmic Justice League, which I looked it up, and it's basically an advocacy group, you know, trying to tell everybody, you know, what the impacts of AI are, and, you know, things like that. Stuff, you know, we basically hear about in the news every day when it comes to, you know, people using AI and things like that. I mean, I think it's pretty common sense that, you know, AI is artificial intelligence, it's not real, and it really should not be used for anything. That's just my opinion. I mean, yeah, I will use it sometimes, but, like, you know, I don't really... Here, I'll just put it like this. When I'm doing a paper right now for my first year seminar class. It's 4 pages long. I probably used... And he said we could use a little bit of AI. You know, it couldn't be 100% AI. I'd say, I think I put it in the AI chat, you know, checker or whatever, and it was only like 1% out of, well, basically the 3 pages I've written so far. So, you know, just that slight little hint of AI, I think that's fine. But, you know, once you get above, I don't know, probably 10 or 15%, then you might as well do the whole thing AI. And if you do that, you're going to get a bad grade. So, yeah. I know there's a lot of goods, but there's a whole lot of negatives about AI. And the negatives, you know, you can go Google that yourself. In fact, AI will probably tell you that. Google AI or Google Gemini or whatever the hell it's called will probably tell you that. But anyway, so it's part of the Critical Inquiry and Colloquium. There we go. Colloquium. So, yeah, that's fine. And the topic, like we said, was AI algorithms, so I'm sure this is also, like, on social media. I know we kind of talked about it in my media and society class where, like, you know, if you see, like, one video or whatever, then, you know, probably a couple videos later, if you scroll like that, you know, another one on that same topic will pop up, and then that's when the algorithm kicks in and things like that. And it also says the common good, too. That's also what it's part about. However, this assembly or whatever, because it's required for my first year seminar class, we have to go to it for a grade. So, and unless we have a very, very, very good reason why we cannot go, we basically have to go. And even if we can't go to it, even with that really, really good reason, great reason, you have to do a makeup assignment, which, Jesus. You know, if you wouldn't have scheduled it when you did, this wouldn't be such a big issue, which I'm going to talk about right now. So they put it on a Saturday. Instead of having it, during the school day, say maybe in the evening-ish, probably, let's see, I think it's about 7:15 or 7:20 as I'm filming this right now. Right around 6:30 or 7, start it there, and, because this is an hour and a half long presentation, you'd be done, just a little bit after 8, and, you have the rest of the night off, do some homework, and, go to bed, basically. I think that would be great. However, they put this on a Saturday. Now, you already have issues with me, because people, and like I mentioned this with the whole going to school breaks and vacations and things like that. I do not do anything school related on Friday night, all day Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, then I get my brain back on. But once I leave class on Friday afternoon at 1:50 p.m., at least in college, and some, we don't go all the way to 1:50 most of the time, when just a little after 1:30, but you get my point. Once class is done on Friday, my school brain immediately turns off, unless I have to study for like a big test, which I've only had to do one time so far, and I'm probably going to have to do it in about another week or so. But back to the main discussion point. I know I get off on these tangents, but it's because I'm so pissed off, that's why. But anyway, as I was saying, this is on a Saturday. Now, people have plans. People spend their Saturday, being social, getting out, doing fun things, and like that. So that's why I have a problem with this Saturday thing. Now, that's not the biggest deal in the world, but just the time they scheduled it, it's just so mind-numbingly stupid. It's from 4 p.m. to 5:30. Why? Why? Why are we doing this? Why? That is just so stupid to schedule it right in the middle of the afternoon when people's, if they have nothing going on Saturday afternoon, they're probably doing things on Saturday night, like going out to sporting events or whatever, different activities or carnivals or whatever around town. Most people, if they have plans on Saturday night, they start it right around, probably 4 or 4:30, and they're out till probably 9, 10, maybe even later than that at night. I mean, that's usually me with Musketeers games. I usually leave, for a 6 p.m. Central game, at least on Saturdays, I'm usually out the door by 4:30-ish, somewhere in there. So, it just seemed a little strange to me. And not, like I said, mind-numbingly stupid that you would schedule it right in the middle of the afternoon. And, like I said, this wouldn't be such a big issue, but the Muskies have a home game. They have a freaking home game. And as you know, we do play-by-play for all the home games. All the home games. And the fact that you are ruining this by having some dumb presentation that you could have held during the week or early in the day on Saturday, like Saturday morning, or, you could probably go as late as 1 or 2 o'clock in terms of starting it and have people be out in time for them to, have fun on a Saturday, late afternoon into the evening and all night. Like, why are you doing this right in the middle of the afternoon when people are probably starting their Saturday afternoon plans or Saturday plans if they don't have any, in the afternoon? Like, why? Why are you doing this? And, obviously, for a grade, I have to go to it. I mean, yeah, I could not go to it, but I'd have to make up a reason that's believable, and I don't want to do that. And even if I do get accepted for not going, or, whatever, I have to make up I have to do a makeup assignment. And that is just not worth the time, in my opinion, because I've already got so many other things going on. I've been doing good at it so far, I will say, in terms of balancing, school stuff and hanging out with family and this YouTube channel. And as you know, and I've hinted at this before, but I have this sort of thing set up. It's kind of like, well, me and my family at Christmas time last year played a game called Empire, where I'm not going to go into it, but basically you have to have, the way you win is if you guess what everybody picked is like a person, and you're all in one group or whatever, and, you're basically able to claim all the pieces in the empire, like, you win, basically. Well, I have this empire in this fantasy world of, I am the richest person on Earth. Sorry, Elon Musk. I own 4 TV networks, all with my name on them. So, and I'm married to this pop British superstar, basically, from a girl band. One you haven't heard of before, I'll just say that. And I'm 24 years older than I actually am. So that's basically it. And I'm the most famous person in the world. That's basically... So I have a few spreadsheets, I have a few Word documents, Google Docs, slideshows, and things like that. And that's kind of all the fake empire I've got, basically. So I work on that when I'm not doing all 3 of those other things. So I have pretty much a full schedule every single day. I don't have time for something like this on a Saturday. I don't, because, like I said, that's when I turn my brain off when it comes to school. That's where I turn it off. And, I'm out doing fun things, doing last-minute preparations for sports broadcasting, or, once we start getting into the hockey season, I'll be leaving right around 4 o'clock from here in Sioux Falls. Probably a little bit before then, probably like 3:30ish or so, because season ticket holders get in 15 minutes before everyone else does, and that'll be 4:45 Central Time. So, yeah, I'll probably leave right around 3:45, basically. So, it's just, I don't like it. However, one thing that gave me a little dose of comfort was that, and thank God, because I was worried about this, because every year we do a Pink in the Rink night, and obviously it's October, it's Cancer Month, so Cancer Awareness Month, so we have Pink in the Rink, right? Well, that's usually on a Saturday night, and I was really worried. I mean, luckily enough, they had 3 dates to choose from. They had the 11th, the 18th, or the 25th, where they decided to schedule this stupid thing we're basically all forced to go to, when you could have scheduled it, sometime during the week. But I guess, maybe her schedule didn't work like that. I don't know. Obviously it's just me complaining. And what I'm saying basically means absolutely nothing. So, I'm sure if one person's upset by this, out of, the however many few hundred freshmen there are on campus, they're not gonna listen to me. They're just gonna put it off, basically. I don't even remember what because I spun off into that little tangent. Now I don't even remember what I was talking about beforehand. Oh, yeah, they had 3 dates to choose from for the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th for Pink in the Rink. Luckily enough, they chose the 18th. So, because I was really worried that if they put it on the 25th, I was going to have to miss that game. And obviously, I don't want to miss Pink in the Rink because, it's after New Year's Eve. It's probably one of the biggest games that everybody circles on the calendar to go to in the Musketeer season. So it was really important, even more important, that I be there for that. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do on the 18th. And then on the 25th, we just won't go to that home game because, yeah, we'll be done by 5:30. But by the time I get down to the arena, it's probably going to be the first intermission. It will be. And that's just not worth it to me to just call 2 periods of a hockey game. I mean, for the Muskies, like I said, I'd do anything for the organization. I really would. But that, I don't know. If I miss 1 period of a game or miss just a little bit of a game, you might as well count me out of the whole game. Because, I mean, granted, I will say this. Obviously, when my dad was working down there and stuff, and, some schmucks that run a management company or whatever weren't running the building, you know, we used to basically go wherever we'd want to in the building. So my mom and I would always park in the back where my dad would park, and we'd go through the back door. And I don't know if we ever got our tickets scanned necessarily, but we kind of went through all the ins and outs and stuff. And because there was a ticket scanner down there, that's why. Although he basically just scanned like press badges and things like that, because they have the barcode on there and things like that. So yeah, that's how we would get our tickets scanned, and then basically we basically have the whole arena to our, well, full access. I'll just say that, full access to the arena. And then once these schmucks took over and basically killed everything about the arena that made it good and all of that, that was just such a terrible time. It really was. I mean, turbulent for sure, but yeah. I mean, now looking back at it, you know, obviously with both my parents gone, you know, I mean, either way, at some point, I was just going to have to face the music in terms of that, so it's okay. It is okay. I still know my way around there, even though I haven't been in some parts in years. Like, I still know my way around the arena. Like, it's like if you showed me like a random picture of a room, you know, I could tell you, you know, what that room was used for, where it is in the arena, things like that. So yeah, that I have no problem with, but although there is one area that I still don't know 100% of how we got down there. Because it was just weird. It's just kind of like a weird area in the arena where, and I might put up a picture of it right now on your screen. In fact, here's a picture of it. So, you know, there's that brick building right there. That's actually a building inside of a building, basically. So that brick is actually part of the old auditorium. And the Tyson Event Center, where the Muskies playing now, was built on there. Because the Muskies, for the first 30 years of their franchise... No, I shouldn't say that. 31 years. I miscounted my math. 32, actually, probably. Because all the games were held in there. All the home games were held in there. And then, I think it was December 19th or 20th of 2003, they opened up the Tyson Event Center. And the first home game in there was played probably a day and a half, couple of days later. And I guess what they did, and I don't know why they did this, I always thought it was really dumb, but, you know, what they built around that brick building, and anytime you're inside that brick building, you are still technically in the old auditorium. You are, which is just strange, because even though you're really in the Tyson Event Center, technically you're in the old auditorium. I don't know, that it's strange. It's strange for sure, but oh God, I don't know why. I really don't. But anyway, on top of that, you could actually go up there and walk around up there. Now, I don't remember how you got up there. I really don't. But I will say, we used to have a blimp that would go around the arena, drop coupons from it, and, you know, it would make its way around the arena bowl, and then it'd kind of do some flips and things like that on the ice, you know, things like that, then it would go off. But I always just thought it was strange that, you know, when they weren't using it, say, because, for example, if the Muskies played on a Saturday night and there was no events until the following Friday, they would basically put the blimp right by where the Zamboni was, kind of behind a curtain, behind a gate. However, if there was an event in between, then they would basically hide it up on top of that, and you could actually see it up there. And yeah, I just thought, I don't know why, but I just thought that was a really weird place for, and like I said, I've been up there, and boy, it's scary, because there's no like guardrails or anything like that. I mean, when you look down, like, you're unprotected. So if you look down and you accidentally stumble, you're going down. You're going down, and you're probably dead. I'll just say that. So I thought it was just really, like, even I've been up in the catwalks of the Tyson Event Center and walked around it, and I felt safer up there, even though if you stumbled, there was still a chance of you falling. Because the guardrails weren't great. I mean, there were certain points where they had, like, you know, the audio set up and things like that, where some of the switches of the lights in the arena and things like that. I mean, though, there you had kind of full protection, but when you were just walking, you know, to those checkpoints, I mean, it was quite scary. Although one thing I do remember, and we'll get into more memories and things like that during our 10th anniversary special in June. Little promo, June 13th, RVN, we're doing a 10th year celebration special, because that will be my 10th YouTube anniversary, so my 10-year YouTube anniversary. So what we'll do is that we'll go back and talk about old stories and things like that. But one story I remember is that whenever they'd have concerts or they host a basketball and a volleyball tournament in Sioux City, they'd have confetti afterwards. Well, the confetti would shoot so high in the air that, you know, it would get up on top of the catwalks and, you know, things like that. So, and, I mean, I'm still a big confetti fan now, like I am, but I really went ham with it back then. And what I did was my dad and I would go up there and we'd walk a full square around the catwalks, and we pick up I would pick up all of the confetti and stuff, because my dad wasn't letting me up there alone. Although now, if he was still working down there and the city wasn't owned by the management company that's in there now, like it was still owned by the city and my dad was still alive and working there, I bet you now he would probably let me up there alone. But small chance of that probably happening. But anyway, I would go around and pick up the confetti, you know, things like that. I will admit, the first time I was up there, my heart was racing, like, a lot, because I was only 8 or 9 years old. I mean, my heart was racing, like, so fast. Like, how I'm beating it right now, like, that's how it was beating. It was that fast. I wasn't necessarily terrified, but it was scary. I'll just say that. It was definitely scary. And I will say this. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not. Although I will say, in the mall in Sioux City, I used to be terrified of looking up at the ceiling. And I think, even as I got older, it wasn't as bad, but I don't know why. I still had troubles looking up, and because I think I was afraid that I was going to fall and I'd have to look straight up at the ceiling, and I don't know why. I was just always terrified of that for whatever reason, because I know I'm getting way off topic and going over time. Sorry, everybody, because there was a Yonkers store in Sioux City, well, in the mall, and we would walk from there into, well, first we'd go through the main doors down there in Yonkers, and we'd walk up. Well, no, we'd ride up an escalator, because escalators have been in the news lately. Might as well talk about it, because of a certain person. I won't say who. So we went up it, and those were fun. I loved riding the escalators. So we'd ride up, and we'd go straight through the front, and there would be the main area with the big high ceiling. And, you know, we would walk through into the food court, and all was fine and dandy. But I got to a point where, I don't know why and how this started, but I used to be so terrified of looking up and seeing that ceiling. I don't know why. I really don't. Like, I was just so scared and afraid of it. I mean, it was just really weird. At least for me. I'm sure, because we might have to test this out when I'm down in Sioux City on Friday, because I plan on going there. Well, I want to be there in time for the start of the party, but because I wasn't going to leave straight away after class, although now that I'm curious about it, I think I might just have to leave after class. Although I have to get dressed up, and I don't really want to be walking around the mall just dressed up. So, I don't know. We might not do this, but at least not on this trip down. But it's, you know, like I was saying, I mean, we would just... I used to just be so terrified of looking up. I don't know why. Because I remember we were done with dinner, and my dad and I don't think, no, my mom wasn't there, but I was probably 8 or 9 too at this point. We would walk, well, okay, here. Sorry. So once we got into Yonkers, we went down that way. However, for whatever reason, I don't know why, we went the other way to come back. And I guess in between there and when we entered into the main area with the big ceiling, I was so afraid. Like, I just would not go. Like, I would not walk. Like, I just got so scared. And my dad and I would just sit there we did sit there this time for like 5 minutes or so. And I don't know what it was. I was just so scared. So he actually picked me up and ran as fast as he could through the main area into Yonkers so I wouldn't be scared. Okay, we're right before the watershed, but scared crapless, basically. And we had to leave our drinks there, obviously, because he couldn't juggle me, who was 8 or 9 years old at the time, and our drinks from the food court. So, I don't... You know, it's just little things like that I remember. Like, I don't know why, because it's just so stupid. That's why. Because it's stupid now, looking back at it. I don't know. We might have to try it sometime, but that mall is probably going to end up closing at some point. Although my uncle, when I was in Sioux City in August, he said that the mall was closing. Like, the full mall was closing, and I was like, seriously? Like, I kind of went along and saying, like, oh, yeah, I heard about it too, and blah, blah, blah. But I looked it up, and it was actually just one of the big stores in the mall that was closing, you know, kind of like a Macy's or a JCPenney type thing. You know, one of those kinds of stores was closing. So I was like, oof, thank goodness. And yeah, it was just, I don't know. I went on for long enough. We're going to take a commercial break. In fact, you know what? Yeah, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're not going to be standing over here. We're just going to be sitting in this chair. So yeah, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Well, as we had hinted to, coming up next, we'll have the Muskies in Sioux Falls. It's the Musketeers home opener. And you've already seen them walk into the arena, so you now get to see them actually playing a hockey game. So yeah, that'll be certainly exciting. But yeah, so that'll be right after we're done here. And yeah, so we'll take one final break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap things up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Well, what did we learn here tonight? It's that don't schedule things at stupid times when basically nobody can attend, and now you're forcing everyone to attend to. Like, come on, don't be that stupid. We will have another episode of the Ronnie Show next week at some time, probably next Friday, because we got nothing going on next Friday, that you'll get to see right here on RVN, about a topic that has to do with the Muskies, but it's more of like a league-wide thing that I want to kind of talk about and share my thoughts on. So yeah, we'll be back for that next Friday night. I think we're going to do it at 8/7 Central, just because, yeah, there's nothing going on next Friday night in my life. The Muskies don't play or anything like that, so might as well, right? So yeah, stay tuned now. We got Sioux Falls and Sioux City coming up right now. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. That was such a bad... Thank you. Thank you very much.